Astrology for the 21st century. For those who are interested in the essence of astrology, that is, going beyond a certain zodiacal signs, planets and general information available, this article can help you advance in the discovery on the fundamentals of astrology. Through many years of study and practice one comes to the realization how things work, and far from knowing everything, we have enough information to scratch the surface of astrology's great knowledge. At one point, you have to ask yourself where so much knowledge comes from. If it were for the history that we know, there is no way that 4,000 years ago, astrologers would already know something that we are just beginning to understand now with available scientific information. Moreover, probably in scientific circles there is much more knowledge in the works that did not made to the public yet, that could be linked to astrology. Not many astrologers today talk about astrology as an energy measurement system. This is not a criticism, but simply consider that an astrologer learns what he or she is taught, and then with practice, polishes the work and hence the professional difference between them. Just to understand and be able to weight what I am saying, my teacher in astrology, to whom I am deeply grateful for all the knowledge that he transmitted to me, was doing his natal chart by hand when I met him. Depending on where the person was born, managing the time changes was quite a challenge. It took him a couple of hours just to draw the natal chart on a photocopy of a blank chart. For each consultation, the ephemeris book was at hand. Back in the 90s, I brought him my laptop with a program that made natal charts. He could not believe that the computer was able to draw the natal chart and show the transits. We did many tests with previous charts he had. He was just amazed. In order not to make a long story, he ended up buying a computer and the system to make the natal charts and follow transits. While what I mentioned does not change the basis of astrology, it aims to understand how a technological change can revolutionize an ancient manual practice. When I mention that astrology is a tool used to measure the flow of energy of any given moment, is because very few astrologers see it from that point of view. To understand that astrology identifies movements of energy, we first have to understand how the energy in the human body works. If it is not first understood that every cell, organ, and even a thought can be measured in its frequency, astrology could never be understood as an element that measures energy. What follows is an example to support what has been mentioned. In the book Astrology in the 21st Century, available on Amazon, there is a section related to organ transplant and its impact on astrology. From the information available from MIT and the Pentagon, we now have an answer to a question related to heart transplants, which was mentioned in the book as paradigm to be solved. The experiences of people with heart transplants were mentioned in the book, since after the transplant, the recipient acquired personality characteristics of the donor. This subject is very well documented, there are books written, and is something well known in certain medical circles. The question presented from the astrological point of view was about how to manage the future cycles of the recipient of a heart after the transplant, especially related to aspects of the Sun in Leo, since they rule the heart. From the new information available from MIT related to the laser developed by the Pentagon, we now know that each heartbeat has unique characteristics for each person. It is like a fingerprint. It identifies the person. Knowing this, we can now support the concept that, from the astrological point of view, when analyzing any future transit for a person who received a heart transplant, the donor's cycles should also be included in the evaluation, in order to have all the necessary information for the analysis. strange as this may seem, if we need to evaluate all energy cycles, we must consider the original cycle of the heart along with the cycles of the person who received it, in order to have a complete picture of the person's energy cycle. Otherwise, the astrologer would work with partial or incorrect information regarding this aspect. From what we know, organ transplants were not done in ancient times, so a heart condition would lead to its irreparable outcome, but now with organ transplants, a much more complex situation is created considering the energy cycles. It is worth mentioning that each organ has a defined frequency, which has not been disclosed yet, so in this regard a lung, a kidney, a liver, for example, also have their specific characteristics in the individual, as occurs with the heart. As we learn more about the human body's characteristic and how it works, there is a need to keep astrology aligned with this new information. It is the new requirement of the 21st century, and something to take into consideration by future astrologers.